Also, hello there and welcome to our Week 1 Team Builder for the Southampton Staraptors, coached by Flips. An introduction to those who are unaware with who is Flips, also known as the Rave Master, is a dude with a wide breadth of smoke knowledge, defending Season 11 MBA Kanto champion, and someone I highly recommend you should check out his channel at some point. He currently doesn't upload, but he did promise me that if he does make playoffs, he would upload, and guess what? It's Bird, so you know I'm going to try to hold him accountable to that. Now, the way in which I will take you guys through this building process is the way in which I built the team and how it came to the final team itself. I reckon that I probably spent maybe at least 20 hours subconsciously building it. I didn't sit down at one time and just like, I'm going to build for 20 hours a day, guys. So it definitely took a long time to actually get it, and every week for the NBA, these teams are probably going to take longer and longer to build, depending upon who the opponent is. And also as well, I really want to try my best to win an NBA season legitimately for a change. And after NBA, I'll probably be taking a break. So I want to ensure that I do as best as possible. So the main person I built with this week is someone that I highly recommend you should check out. I think he is probably, in my eyes, the best mix of a big channel and also an incredible battler. And if you guys are still thinking, like, that's definitely A-Drive. No, that's not A-Drive. It was Leo, aka 6 Foot Hacks. Definitely check out his channel. Really a solid guy. Love him to bits. Really nice guy. He helps me sometimes, and he puts up with Bird. But for some strange reason, every time I want to play Fortnite with him, his computer blows up. Also, I want to thank Cos, because he gave me an insight into how he believes that some people are really going to try to outmuscle Mega Morwell by trying to outspeed it, which I definitely sort of saw coming, but then again, just having that reaffirmation by someone else that this is a way that to look at it is definitely important. Now, I do apologize in advance. This is going to be quite an in-depth team builder. Currently, word count's like 1,000 words, so depending on how quickly I go through it, depends on how long it is. The matchup will be hopefully in the bottom right of the graphic itself. I did make my graphic myself, but when it comes to graphics, logo, Bill Standish as always. All the NBA graphics, especially the thumbnails, layouts, are all done by Grant, aka High Velocity Boy. Manny did the draft analysis stuff, but that won't be in this video for the first time. But I just want to make sure that people are aware that these are the people that help me out. Also people like Aaron2420 and Daniki, who always help me by giving me some video feedback and stuff like that. It's really crucial. There's so many things that go on behind the scenes that I'm really trying to improve my videos that you may or may not be. The starting point of this team in particular was Mega Morwell. Flips' Mega Morwell switch-ins are very limited. In particular, the combination of Mega Morwell and Dougie would ensure his switch-ins would gradually become nothing over time. The way in which this happens, of course, is that Dougie's arena trap ability would ensure that his main resistances are trapped, and therefore, especially like Registeel, Mega Morwell's player becomes so free against his team. Besides like Flame Body, Talonflame. Originally, the set I had was Sword Sense, Iron Head, Pain Split, and Substitute. However, after consultation with Leo, and this was Leo's main contribution to the team, which was making it play rough instead of Iron Head, because the team really struggled with Gastrodon. It would require Mega Morwell to use play rough at +2, it does OHKO the Gastrodon itself. The speed creep was for 32 speed Sylveon. The main reason for that was I thought it was the most logical creep, as I thought he had to bring defensive Sylveon for the Hydreigon. The reason that this Pokemon was sub over Sucker Punch was I thought that I could sub up on mons like Alola, Mark, Registeel, Decidueye, as they are naturally forced out. In particular, allows me to sub on his most logical switch in being the Nidoqueen or Alola Mark, which is Mark's reliance on Fire Blast to break the sub, provided a 85 to 15% chance for Mega Morwell to stay behind that substitute. And if that did occur, Mega Morwell could go ballistic. I really thought that Pain Split was better on this set just to allow me to also counter Registeel. I think that when you can sort of counter your main counter, which is just Pain Split, really does help. Another option was looking at was Fire Punch, and the main reason for that was for Reflect-type Mega Laddie, which I didn't think was that necessary. I think that with Mega Morwell, Mega Laddie became so redundant in this matchup, like it was actually a hindrance if Flips was going to bring it, and that's definitely what I want to look at. The attack stat is, so it's 104 Adamant, because I two-shot his whole entire team. Except for Registeel, I would have to go to +4 to beat that with the two-shot. However, Registeel's main recovery move is Rest, so therefore it's a war of attrition. The second Pokemon I added to this roster was a bulky Scarf Infernape, which crept Talonflame's max speed stat. This is actually a really interesting thing, because I do put Mach Punch on this set, and it's probably the most interesting move on this set. Mach Punch is specifically for Terrakion. The main design of this set was actually to 1v1 any Terrakion. And it's really weird because when you think about it, like, surely you want to be Scarf Infernape to outspeed or speed type with Terrakion, but I opted for a lot more bulk. The reason for this is that if he locks himself into CC, because CC is effectively free against my team, whereas Earthquake would invite in Hydreigon, that mind game really would help me out. The other thing about this set was U-turn was specifically designed for Sylveon, as if it is spec Sylveon, I do not switch into it at all. And you will see how I sort of plan to take that on a little bit. The other thing as well was I opted for Fire Punch over Flow Blitz. This also allowed me to run Iron Fist. Now I do forgo a lot of power not running Blitz, but I definitely saw the way in which that he has a lot of nice little Pokemon like Nidoqueen, for example, Megaladius, that if I do go for the Fire Punch or the Flow Blitz, he's easily going to be able to come in, and then depending upon the set's going to wear down the most logical switch into it being Mega Mawile. So I wanted Fire Punch there just in case I need to play those mind games. Also, Iron Fist is also as well just a really nice ability to help out. Helped out with a lot of Mach Punch calcs, which seems like a really weird thing to consider, that like you're using a Scarfer to use Mach Punch. You're using a priority move, wouldn't Banded be better? Well, no, the reason for that is because I needed that speed. This is a CC from the Terrakion. Now, the other thing to note about this was I centralized my prep on 2 Pokemon when I was sort of coming down to the last sort of hour or 2 hours before the game. I didn't finish this team before maybe 20-30 minutes before the actual battle itself, is I realized that Banded Terrak and Spec Sylveon were the 2 biggest threats to this team. So I made sure that I wanted this Infernape to really be able to handle the Terrakion, no matter what it was. And my next Pokemon is actually my main Sylveon answer, and it's going to be a really weird one for a lot of people. The reason for this is it's actually Hydreigon. I did mention earlier that Hydreigon was on the roster to come. It's a really weird matchup. Hydreigon is such a weird Pokemon in the way that it functions in my eyes. You have so many different sets, it's a very wide variety. The first set I actually had on this was actually a defensive Defogger, which seems really weird. I had 3 attacks, E-Power, U-Turn, Draco Meteor. As I acknowledge, it had a really nice matchup, but the set constantly changing due to my inability to decide whether I wanted to run Hydreigon with Defog, or I wanted to run Starmie with Rapid Spin. Now, this will come in a bit more important like later. The main idea that Hydreigon was this week was I thought Thundurus T had a really shit matchup. Alola Mark with its Pursuit can really hinder it. Also, was the reduced Stealth Rock damage Hydreigon takes compared to Thunder T made it a lot more optimal for me to want to run it this week. At one stage it was Hobonberry Toxic with Defog, and Roost has allowed me to chunk Megaladius with Crunch, but I needed Roost to get 2 hits off. I sort of really like Stallbreaker Hydreigon, especially in any matchup. I think it's very good. The taunt sets, you name it. Then I had to drop U-Turn. I became Work Up, Crunch, Earthquake for a long amount of time. And then I was going through the moves, so I was just thinking, well, look, if Spec Sylveon's going to be such an issue for this team, I can't run Mega Maw with Iron Head. How do I beat it? How do I stop it? How do I limit it? So we chucked on Throat Chop. Now, Throat Chop, if people don't know how it functions, is it stops that sound-based moves for 3 turns. Sylveon is typically ran with the combination of Hyper Voice and the Pixelate ability. Now, I definitely thought that Cute Charm, Moonblast was an option if you want to be scummy to try to beat the Mega Mawile, but you know, it's flips, you never know. Play to win. So, the idea then became, well, if he is going to be Hyper Voice, I asked Hale, if he was going to be a Spec Sylveon, I asked Hale, hey Hale, he really only needs like 2-3 moves this matchup, do you think that there's a possibility that you'd run Moonblast as well? And he said like, but if you run Moonblast, he's a god. And I said, fair enough. I saw 6 base attack stat as Crunch, which is really nice. With Work Up, I could set this thing up, so +2. The 108 Adamant Nature was the best investment for myself to EV it. Originally it was a lot more speedy, so I guess I'm speed stat, but inefficient EVs. So I had Throat Chop there, and then I was like, well, look, at +2, and I'm going to chunk so many of his mons. I opted for Dread Plate on this set. I had Citrus Berry, but last minute made a Dread Plate. The reason I made this a Dread Plate user was I realized against his team that he really didn't have any dark switch-ins. He had the Alola Monk, which died to EQ, same as Registeel, and that's the sort of 2 coverage moves I went for on this set. Really helps it break nice. Now, the 44 108 bulk allowed me to tank a modest low flip Nidoqueen's Ice Beam. The reason that this is important is that Nidoqueen I was really scared of, that I did not want to let it come in for free at any point and set up its T-Spikes, because if something goes down, T-Spikes are just annoying for my team. My main really hazard absorber on this team is the Venomoth. Venomoth never going to come. So I was like, okay, Now, I could do that, and with the speed creep of Timid Queen, I could also EQ it. It also limited Sylveon's option. If it was Scarf Sylveon to come in and Oko the Hydreigon, which is probably the only set it could to beat my Hydreigon, or opting for Moonblast, but more likely Scarf, it would allow Mega Maul to come in for free and go for a free play rough or a free sub, and if you try to go into Talonflame, it's going to be hell on earth for him. The thing as well, Hydreigon does really nicely is with its defensive synergy with Mega Maul, Sylveon, if it locked into HP Fire, trying to predict the Mega Maul switch in, lost a lot of momentum, and if he went for the Hyper Voice and the Mega Maul came in, he lost a lot of momentum there. So I didn't think that offensive Specs Hyper Voice was a no-risk play for him, but I thought the combination of Specs Hyper Voice plus Banded CC to rack was going to be a big issue for this team. The fourth Pokemon was Starmie. His whole design was a rapid spinner particularly. Toxic Spikes away, as I said earlier, don't really care about rocks. This team that I've built doesn't really care about rocks. His team was a lot more pressured by rocks in the way that Talonflame was the only one that really cared about rocks, but Talonflame does care about rocks. That 4x weakness makes it very... it relies upon getting good hazard removal, and I thought that with the best hazard removal option in this game being Mega Lati. As I mentioned earlier, I was debating, umming and ahhing about this, and this is where, like, Bird subconsciously building teams, and, like, when he's trying to focus on other things really helps me. I was at work one day, I was thinking about it, I was like, alright, Defog Hydreigon or Rapid Spin Starmie? What do I want? And I go to my head and I went, well, Reflect type is what I'm going to have to run on it. And it's a real shame Starmie can't have 5 moves, because obviously those 5 would be absolutely perfect. It was originally Rapid Spin Toxic. I realized that would give Alola Mark a free switch in. Mega Lati I do not care about on my team. Never will. Mega Lati, it's a Pokemon that has typically been banned, and we don't know why. It's a bit like marijuana. Don't understand why it's banned. Gives some people a really good high, other people I don't understand why. So I look at it and go, right, well, how do I limit this? And what I thought was, Starmie's Reflect type allows me to leave unscathed V-Muck. It also allows me to 1v1 Registeel. Now, if Registeel was going to be a curse variant of Registeel, which I definitely feared, because it sort of limited my Mega Mawile, definitely I had safe measures to this, mainly being the Infernape. What I could do is I could Reflect type the Regi, and then start Scald spamming it. And if I burnt it, and he was Resto Chesto, it means that whenever he gets down low again, that he's going to take 2 turns to rest up. I can switch out into something like Infernape, or the Hydreigon, or the Mega Mawile, and just absolutely chunk it. But then again, with Curse and everything, you know, it'll be really weak, but that was sort of the plan of that. The HP investment is 303, because I calculated that after lefties, I could take 3 Seismic Tosses, which was very important to me after Rocks, because I wanted Starmie for that longevity, yet again. The 92 special attack allowed me to 2-shot any of his main hazard setters, being the Terrakion and Nidoqueen. Speed Creepers for Mega Lati, there's nothing else really to be said about Starmie. The 5th Pokemon was a Dugtrio. Dugtrio main role was just trapping his player off switch-ins. As I mentioned earlier, the rocks weren't that crucial in this game, but I decided to pack rocks on Dougie. It was the most logical one. It can also take a non-boosting Nidoqueen Ice Beam without Life Orb, which was what the Spadef was for. The Toxic was purely there for Mega Lati. If you try to be smart and cheeky, try to sub up. I also had Soft Sand on this set because I wanted to bluff a few things, like if I was adamant, because Soft Sand doesn't give away that information and he doesn't see an item. So in theory, you could think I'm Scarf, adamant, something like that. So I didn't want to give that information away, and that's where having Soft Sand was really helpful for that. Protect was to help scout and chip damage, and the other thing as well was I needed it to be Jolly of Adamant just for the speed creeps. Also, now the final Pokemon on this team was Connie Hobo, aka my round 8 Credilli. Now I know a lot of people have been constantly hyping up the stuff you would expect your low tiers to do well. Credilli, he has 2 jobs. Snorlax, Talonflame. Now how does Credilli do it? It's an NU Pokemon and Talonflame is RUBO. Well, Credilli's bulk allows it to take any 2 Brave Birds that aren't a Z-move variant. Now no way, that's impossible. I'm guessing you're imagining. It's a fucking Credilli. How does it beat Snorlax? Like, you don't have a usable ghost type. Well, Credilli creeps Snorlax, creeping 8 Credilli. 8 speed Credilli. Or Credilli with a combination of Toxic and Rare, so you can stop any non-banded variant of Snorlax in its tracks. What if his belly drums up on your poor little Credilli? It outspeeds, if in that case, and can worry seed it so that the Gluttony doesn't activate. Or, alternatively, if I know that he is a Gluttony variant, I can Toxic it. And then Infernape comes in and drops it. If Credilli wants to, he can take the Mega Latias unboosted hits. Also, as well, it helps with the Nidoqueen, because I'm predicting more of an unboosted variant. And next season of the NBA, we need to vote on Credilli. It's too good. Why are we allowing this thing? It couldn't take Talonflame's Brave Birds. It used to be one of the top threats in OU. Hope you guys have enjoyed the longer style team builder. Please leave me feedback below in the description. I'm always looking for ways to improve. Don't forget to like the button if you want to ban Credilli the next season. Tomorrow, our battle will go up against Flips at 5 PM EST. Don't forget to check in and watch the battle. Follow me on my socials for other updates. I definitely plug everywhere because I'm a filthy slut. And until next time, peace.